Everyone, my name is Jennifer Galdo. I'm known as the Maze Runner, and if you check on this channel somewhere, you'll figure out why I'm known as the Maze Runner. But I'm here to welcome you into the maze to see segments that I have created in the middle of all of the many things that I like to do, where I invite people from my community to my couch to have a conversation about things that I consider very important. I'm blessed with a community of very diverse, very talented, very gifted people, and because I like to talk and I enjoy some of these conversations in private, I'm thinking about putting them out also, because I believe that outside of my immediate benefit, there's many things that other people can learn from what my community provides for me, which has been a private benefit for all of my life. Where better to start than a conversation about women and women's health, because hey, female in the room. Over the past few years, I've had occasion to be very mindful of the subject. Maybe sometime we'll go into the details of what those are. But in the middle of that journey, I recognize that there are many, many things about females, female anatomy, our bodies, that we can afford to take for granted for most of the time, and then we almost always check on those things like either too late or just somewhere down the line. It's not a thing that we prioritize coming into the conversation. So I'm starting from women's health, but please stay connected to this channel because I will be talking about many, many things. The segment is called Into the Maze. A little bit of complexity, but the joys of finding the answers together. Today, as my first ever guest, I am so honored to have one of my big sisters and aunties, Auntie Amaka Ocheke. Now, she refused to let me, first off, she refused to let me reel off a profile. But if I reeled off a profile, you will understand why she's my first guest. I can tell you at least that she's a professor of obstetrics and gynecology. And we have asked her the most crazy questions. And yeah, how she has managed to not throw us away, some of us in our community, is a wonder, a literal miracle. But I've had occasion to ask her a lot of questions, and I have the benefit of her as my first guest on the couch in the maze. I am so pleased. For me. I am so pleased. Let me start with one of the weirdest questions. I ask weird questions. So, one of the first things I ask myself is, why is it called the reproductive system? Let me tell you why. I feel like because we call it the female reproductive system, nobody does anything beyond giving you like minimum information till you're trying to have a baby, which for many people now is somewhere in like their late 20s or their early 30s. So we basically have been walking around convincing ourselves that we are fully functional females. And then you get to 32, suddenly you're trying to have a baby, then somebody starts to explain something to you and you're squinting at the doctor like, how did I never know that? So first of all, is there a reason why it's called the reproductive system? Because I'm feeling like if it wasn't called the reproductive system, that maybe we'll get to the conversation earlier. Is there like a scientific reason for this?
Like generally the body is broken down into different systems based on functionality. So you have digestive system, you have cardiovascular system. So this particular system is responsible, is what is used to produce the next generation of human beings. So it's important for the survival of the species. So that's why it's called the reproductive system.
Makes sense.
Producing the next. So I guess that's why it's like that.
Because I honestly feel like we need to start having conversations about the system earlier. Because it's not good that a good number of the population is significantly ignorant. I'll give you an example. So recently, someone that I follow online was mentioning that you guys know the diagram of the reproductive system is the uterus with the fallopian tubes with the ovaries. We all assume that if somewhere in our stomachs that the things are laid out essentially flat like that. So you have somebody say something like, but where do they fit where my intestines and such? Like just the general, normal diagram was a bit confusing. Does it look like the diagram internally?
Of course not. Of course not. Your tubes can't stand straight like that. They need to bend a bit.
Yes.
And those things are just to give you a pictorial representation of what is going on there, but it's not exactly like that.
Yeah.
So, of course, the tubes will lie when something does not have any bone.
Yeah, they're not propped.
It's not propping it up.
Yeah.
So it has to be somewhat like this, but it stays in its place. So when you are looking for it, you know where to look for it, and you are generally going to find it there, unless there's something wrong.
Goodness.
And it's not where it's down in the pelvis, the lower part like this.
That's another thing.
A few intestinal loops may go down there, but most of the intestines are up here.
Yes.
Yes, but this one is down.
So it's kind of like tucked towards your back-ish.
No, down. Not just your back.
Yeah.
Not your back. It's in front too, but it's down. So, and it's covered by the bone.
Oh.
At your hip
your
bone.
pelvic bones.
Yes, it's somewhere down there.
Very interesting.
So it's only in pregnancy it comes up. Then you can feel it, you are maybe more conscious of it, but it's down there.
There was a few years ago where I would have taken this information for granted, that we all knew where the situations were. But I'm glad to hear now that they are tucked forward and somewhere in our pelvic region. So yes, please, if you need someone to do a physical illustration, go ask your doctor to give you an illustration.
It's all there now.
Yeah, but you know the images. You know we didn't go to medical school. The rest of us ordinary
Biology.
folks.
Jennifer, biology.
Ha! No, I've seen this. See, I've seen the diagram of the skeleton. I've seen all of this. I actually did biology. I think I was a good biology student. I think I got A in biology.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe I crammed it. But but it's, yeah, I think sometimes the illustration of it, I've been in the hospital quite a bit. So I know where the things are. In fact, right now I can say something as very specific as my ovary hurts. Hey God, I still feeling so intelligent after a little while. But that's a very, very interesting thing to say. Okay, but what organs comprise the reproductive system? And we're starting from here. It seems very elementary.
Yeah.
But the information about this is not as widespread as I thought. I caught myself finding some gaps. Yes. But which organs basically comprise the reproductive system?
Okay.
Female.
Okay, I'm thinking of how we will
start this biology class.
This biology. Now, aside from the things that we call the organs in the reproductive system, there are also other organs that affect reproduction that should be part of that reproductive system.
Ah, okay, wonderful.
So, we'll start with the brain. The brain, because the brain controls what happens there. Yeah. So the brain is part of the reproductive system, but you know when you are doing it system by system,
nobody calls it. Yeah, nobody calls that.
The brain is the as they say the organ.
Yes, the engine.
Controls the engine room that controls everything. But when we now get down to the specifics of the reproductive system itself, maybe if we start from the upper part, we have the ovaries at the end. Yeah. From that diagram that all of you should
we'll put the diagram somewhere
on the screen and see. So the ovaries are where the eggs are produced. Well, that's what we call the eggs, but don't think you're a chicken. That's where the eggs are produced that need to be fertilized to get for people to be pregnant. And then overhanging the ovaries are the fallopian tubes. So they have something like hands. Well,
so they're not connected to each other. They're just overhanging each other.
We call them fimbriae, but there are things that hold them over so that when the eggs are released, they pick up the eggs by some natural processes. So the ovaries start with, and the fallopian tubes have something like, we call them, they are fimbriae, but they are like hands over the ovaries. And then they funnel
sort of inward and downward
and become smaller
as
they get down and then connect to the uterus, which we call the womb, where the baby stays when you are pregnant. And then from the uterus you go down to the mouth of the uterus, which we call the cervix, which is an important place where a lot of cancers occur, which you should know about. And then it connects to the vagina, which is a tubular structure that now comes outwards. The vagina comes outwards, and then we now have the organs that are outside that everybody can see. That's the clitoris, the labia minora, the labia majora,
which is now like your vulva area.
Yes, that's your vulva area. Jennifer, we'll give you a diploma in
medicine. Listen, I need like my honorary medical things. Yes, because I'll give you a reason why this is important. You know, when you read all this, don't wash with soap, all the conversations around hygiene, they tell you don't put soap in your vagina. And then
everybody's wondering which one is it.
So which one are we not supposed to put soap inside? Because there was now a question of, do you mean we should not wash our vulva area at all with soap? Or do you mean that people actually have time to stick? Because people do soap up their vaginas.
People put their fingers inside like they are washing a toilet. Like, I don't know for them. They will put their fingers or some other feminine hygiene products put inside and wash it.
Okay. So
they believe that they need to wash it for the thing to be clean, but it's not true.
Now the description that we have right now lets you know that your vagina is the canal after your cervix coming outward. Yes. Right?
So you can't see it outside.
You can't see it outside.
Inside.
Wonderful. Yeah. That one, I don't even know why people want to put soap. It feels awkward to me.
Because I think people, even when you Google on social media, people keep telling one another you need to wash the place. If you don't wash it, something will happen. Whatever. For good female hygiene, you should have to wash it. I remember one time I talked about it in church. And I told them you didn't watch, but I could see from the faces of some women they didn't. I didn't
think that it was even so common.
They didn't believe me. No, it's very common.
Wow.
And there's even a word for it, douching.
Yes, I think yes. There's even like there was a time that the products were like very it was just terrifying to me.
To wash inside and all that, but you don't need to wash it. It's a self-cleaning.
It's self-cleaning.
But outside the vulva area, you can the way you normally take your bath.
So including soap.
You can use soap. But don't use medicated soap.
Oh Lord. Now I'm going to harp on that specific thing about medicated soap. So one of the things that I learned in my recent scientific forays is pH levels. So the pH is potential hydrogen, I think.
It's not form science, then just carry on.
If it's not correct, I will tell you people somewhere in this if it's not correct. But I think it's pH, potential hydrogen, right? Yes.
Go on.
So is the pH level outside the same as the pH level, like when I say outside, I mean the vulva area. Is this different from the pH level in the vagina? Because I know that there's a whole song and dance about ensuring that your pH levels are stable.
The pH in the vulva, it's like the vulva outside the vulva is like your skin. Nobody really cares about that. That's not where the problem is. The problem is the pH in the vagina.
Yes.
So you don't need to change the. So what we're saying is there's a natural environment, including the pH that should be existing in the vagina, and you are not supposed to change that pH, or it will cause trouble for you.
Yeah.
And part of not changing that pH is that not putting to wash inside. Yeah. Medicated soaps. Also, well, maybe not just necessarily just changing the pH, but they also kill off some
of your good bacteria.
Yes, and then cause the ones that you don't want to overgrow and then they now cause itching for you, candidiasis, and all that.
Some of the irritation you're having is from
toilet disease all the time.
So some of the irritation people are having is from just over cleaning or under cleaning. Over, not even under.
So you allow bacteria that shouldn't overgrow to overgrow and cause problems for you.
Now I'm going to touch on it. Connected to this conversation is the recent there's a Kaya Mata craze as well. So even for people who were not trying to clean their vagina area or whatever else, there's the new sweetening / tightening / whatever else market trend. How does that affect people's health? I know it's a sensitive subject. If you are using Kaya Mata, just ignore me. But I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, but part of one of the questions is what exactly is this Kaya Mata? Because it's a whole range
of things
that people use for various things.
Yeah.
So people use some, they feel that it makes the sensation of sex very interesting,
yes,
and exciting. Some people have they say it tightens the vagina and all that. I don't know so much about some of those things, but we've had some experience in hospital where some people have put certain things. Because some of the, like I know some people have put things that contain potash in it to tighten the vagina.
Really?
Yes. And for some people, it's caused burns, you know, and then after a while, everywhere closes, and then from the kayamata, it becomes bahaya. No room.
Oh, wow, adhesions.
So yes, adhesion. So you now need to start doing surgery to try to open up the place all over again. So I just tell people, don't be quick
to seek things.
To use all those things, yes. Find out what they contain, the side effects, and be sure whether you are willing to deal with side effects if they occur.
Because closely connected to that is there's a northern Nigerian culture. I think they do it for brides and stuff, where they're supposedly scenting your vagina around weddings.
All sorts of things even non-wedding people. Women are now doing they mix some things. Somebody recently told me that they put scent leaf, put lilac, like a bit lavender, and then sit on the steam. Yes, it makes the place very soft, sweet, whatever. I don't know, but all sorts of things. You know, women are doing all sorts of things.
Yes.
But one of the things I've also realized about vulval and vaginal health is that there's the same reason why people also go do plastic surgery. Many of the things is in your mind. I think a lot of things are in your mind. There may be some things that are like some problems, but I think a lot of problems are in people's minds, self-image issues, and those things you do don't necessarily change what happens in your mind.
So you just feel better about the outcome.
Yeah. So until but many times, even after those things, they're still not okay. They're still complaining.
Yeah, because I would suppose that if for any reason you took something that you believed was tightening, that you would be a bit more confident, because it's like how you say I have headache now. I took Panadol, I don't have headache again. If you put
that tightening and all that is not tightening for yourself. It's tightening to hold the man in your life down.
Yes,
that's the problem. So when you do all that and the man is not held down,
then you really actually
the problem.
Haven't.
And sometimes that's not what is making the men not to be held down.
Yeah, but then you're sort of masking your problems by creating new problems. Because you are doing
your own tightening too. All the girls outside are also tightening. So the kaya mata thing. Everybody's trying, both the wife at home, the side chick, the girls outside, everybody is trying to hold the men down. So if the man doesn't want to be held down, I don't know what to really do.
So the real problem to holding men down, obviously, is not tightening anything. But that's another conversation for another day. I didn't want something that you said to slip by about the cervix and cervical cancer. It's the subject of cancers of the female reproductive industry. Wow. Guys.
It's an industry now. Business. Reproductive tract.
This is how you know that I'm a businesswoman and not a scientist. My mind is doing whatever it's doing. It's cervical, right? I remember this one because there was one time I really liked the campaign. It was called Public Cervix Announcement. I think it was a really good campaign. But can you tell us a bit about specifically cervical cancer? I hear that it is one of the easier ones to catch, to track, not catch, to track, and that it's curable, and that if you don't treat it, it may become a gateway cancer for the rest. Could you maybe share a little bit of?
Okay, the good thing about cervical cancer is that the cervix is the mouth of the womb, so that's what opens up when women are pregnant for babies to come out. I think that's
the easiest way
to explain it. So the good thing about it is that it's accessible. So all you need to do is if the woman, you place the woman in lying on her back, you pass a speculum through the vagina, it opens up, you can see the cervix. So a speculum is an instrument that we use to help open up the
I hate that thing, but we'll talk about it.
Open up the vagina, so you can see the cervix.
Yes.
And so you can test it. You can take specimen from it. You can look at it, take specimen from it, test it to see whether there's anything wrong.
And you can do that frequently, easily.
Yes, easily. So first of all, the test people do first of all, is looking. So sometimes just looking at it, you can see some changes, just gross looking, macroscopically like that. Then you take some specimen, which we call the pap smear, to look at it under the microscope to see the changes that occur. Now, the good thing about the cervical cancer is that changes occur that will take like 3-5 years or sometimes more to become cancerous. So you can pick up those changes
and then start to work on them immediately.
So you can also treat when you find those abnormalities. And then the other test that has also come out in recent times is also screening for the human papilloma virus, because human papilloma virus is responsible for over 95 or more percent of cervical cancer.
Really? But it's a whole disease on its own?
No, it's just a virus that is transmitted. So that's why human cervical cancer is looked upon like a sexually transmitted disease. Because you transmit it, you get it from somebody.
Yes.
And it's gotten through sexual intercourse.
Oh Lord.
So that's why cervical cancer will be difficult to find in a virgin. But in medicine, we never say never.
Yes.
It will be difficult.
Yes, but once you are sexually active, which is why the recommendation is usually that once you become sexually active, you go and test.
You should do this.
Gotcha.
Cancer screening. So, so the risk that people would have to have cervical cancer, if people start having sexual intercourse very early,
yes,
it could be.
You become a high risk.
If you have many sexual partners,
okay.
Because the more you sleep with people,
the more to get the
If you have a sexual partner who has multiple sexual partners,
oh gosh,
you collect from plenty people,
and then your risk continues to go up.
Continues to increase. So these are some of the things that increase the risk for cervical cancer. But the good thing about it, as I said, is that it's accessible. You can pick up where there are problems, and then where you find abnormalities, you treat it. So there are treatment modalities available to treat. Even when you do the test initially and there's an abnormality, you can do further testing, and that's what we call colposcopy. So you use like a mega microscope.
Okay. Medical terms.
Shows you the cervix.
Yes.
In more detail.
Okay.
And then you see whether there are abnormalities and then treat. So what you can do where there are abnormalities, either they excise, they remove, they can burn it.
Okay. Like a medical
or freeze it. Freezing also kills cells.
Oh wow! I hadn't heard of freezing.
Yeah, frozen to death.
Yes.
Those cells are frozen to death.
Yes.
And they're removed. But then, as I said, you could also cut them off and then test, and then the person is followed up to see that those abnormal cells
that they're not
so once you get rid of that, so if women could screen. The risk of cervical cancer will go down. And in developed countries is down because people are screening.
Yes.
Even once it's time for your next appointment, even if you didn't show up, they are going to call you.
Oh, nice.
But unfortunately,
our systems are not functioning like that.
People complain of cost and all that. But there are some places where the cost is kind of
lower, and then if it's a routine thing, it doesn't have to be the thing that you do at private hospitals, right? Because in this environment, it's usually often now a conversation between should I do it at a private hospital and pay a lot, or should I do it at a teaching hospital?
It's up to you to decide what you want to do. But like in our own hospital, there's no protocol. You just walk in. You don't even need.
Yes, I actually have done.
You don't need anybody writing anything for you. Just walking.
Yes.
And then
I actually think that my first 2 pap smears, and I should do one again. I haven't done one in maybe the past 2 years. My first 2 pap smears were done at the Just University Teaching Hospital. It was quite a simple procedure, actually. They took the sample, let's call it a sample, and told me when to come back. I think I even forgot, and then I remembered one day I went back and took it. But
so if everything is normal, you probably would be asked to do it every 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And you need to continue doing it every 3 years until you are 65.
Gosh.
Under certain conditions. And the condition is that your last 3 pap smears
were clear.
Normal.
Yes.
If they were normal, then after 65 you would stop. But if they were not normal, you may need to continue for long.
Which brings me to my very last landing point. Those speculums, they're called, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you know how terrified I was when I found out that those things have not changed in years and years and years? This is where
anything that can help you see.
No, but can we not invent a nicer one? Because
Jennifer, those things, it's not really painful, it's just uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. There's a diagram I saw that was, I felt like the person captured in cartoon how I felt that day after my exam. The person drew this diagram of the lady on her back, doctor sitting eye level to your vagina area, legs put aside. I should literally labeled it blue cloth that they put on the bed for whatever reason. White ceiling. Doctor making small chatter because he knows you're uncomfortable. But yes, after they had speculummed me, that's not a real word. After they had speculummed me for a while, I was like, somebody needs to create something that is nice and fuzzy. But I see that there are attempts now, apart from the metal one, there's the metal one and there's the
plastic one.
Fiber glass-ish ones. Those ones look nicer because just the thought of somebody approaching you with what basically looks like a wrench.
When you come, we won't just shove it in your face, Jennifer. We'll talk to you.
I'm observant.
And then we tell you we're going to do something. We tell you what we're going to do. And then we tell you to relax. Maybe tell you to cough. Maybe so when you cough, I put it in. And then when you clear your throat, you now realize so that it's not so bad.
Well, it's not painful. Yeah, it's not painful. It's uncomfortable, and actually, just learning to breathe through it gets you through it. But
and it doesn't last long after.
It doesn't. But then there are some procedures that proceed after the. Let's not get that the rabbit trail.
Okay.
After the speculum, sometimes it's not just a pap smear. A pap smear is quick and easy. So don't let me scare you with speculums. I'm just kidding. There was one time after I had been in the hospital for a while, I felt like I should have a biomedical engineering degree, so that maybe I will. After complaining like this now, at least I can propose a solution.
Well, it's good as you put it out there. Maybe somebody will come up with an idea of how.
Yes, it has apparently has been existing since the medieval times, so it doesn't feel like we made an effort.
Yeah, so maybe people should try. Right now, nothing comes to mind to me about what to do to make it easier. I don't know.
I can imagine, but it works. So sometimes they say when something is not broken, don't fix it, right? But then if you have a biomedical engineering degree and you can do something about it, by all means, please. The sisterhood. The sisterhood will be grateful to you for this one. But yes, this was supposed to be an anatomy class. I hope that somewhere in the middle of all of this that you have caught something and that you make it an appointment immediately as soon as you can to go and get a pap smear. You need one. From what age?
Once you're sexually active.
Okay, so that's age.
And sexually active means that you're having sex, because I've told the woman sexually active, she said, it's only once a week. No, sexual active means you're having sex. It's not how many times, it's not how often, but once you are sexually active.
Which is a wide gap. So if you fit in this gap anywhere, please do the needful and see you again.